Okay, so 2 ways to do this. This one is not so hard to do in the original form. We could do the square root of, and do 2 times 2 times 2 6 times. It's not so terrible. And what's the square root of 64? 8. Or, you could have said, how do we write a square root as a power? Half. What do you do when you have a power to a power? Multiply. What's half of 6 is 2 cubed, and 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So this is all no calculator allowed. If you have 2 to the 5th power, and the square root of that, you end up with a fraction. So instead of doing, you are not going to do this in fact. Because you end up with half of 5 is 2.5, and what is 2 to the 2.5 power? What in the world does that even mean? Okay.
6.
So, good guess. So one way to tackle this is to turn this into that. Is that still 2 to the 5th?
Yes.
What good does this do?
Though it's easier, because it's not odd.
Yeah. What can I do with that square root of 2 to the 4th? Take half of it is 2 squared. But what about the square root of 2? There's not much you can do with that, but you can do the square root there. Take that to the half power, which is 4 root 2. And that's the best you can do, because the root 2 is an ugly decimal anyway. But at least this is considered simplified, believe it or not. See what you can do with that one.
Oh no. No, it's so you have to kiss my hand. It's so gross.
We don't know. She's only 6.
Okay, so Is this a cube root? We're going to have a third power. We need to turn this into something we can take 1/3 of. What can we take 1/3
Power
of?
6.
Power 6. Nice, Chris. Does power 6 work?
Yeah.
Can I do 1/3 of 6? Okay, so let's back up and say, well, what do we want then? We want 5 to the 6th there.
Times
5.
Good. But there's 7. We need all 7 of them there. So there's all 7 of them. So there's 5 to the 6th to the 1/3. That will reduce nicely. What about the cube root of 5? Stays. Good. Cube root of 5. What does this turn into? 1/3 of 6 is higher math here.
5.
1/3 of 6 is 2.
Yeah, 5.
And what's 5 squared?
29.
25. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Who got that?
Me. I'd be
2 or 3
yes,
5, 6.
I got one part wrong.
Okay, so this is going to be 1/3 power. We need to find what we can do with 7. We can make 6. Because 1/3 of 6 is 2. 3 divides 6 twice. Let's try 5 to the 9th.
Let's go.
Oh, okay. I'll be one step away. I didn't finish it when he came over.
Can you do 1/3 of 9? Or yeah, so that just leave it like it was.
I'll take the first thing. This equals this.
Jack off.
Can you do 1/3 of 9 already? Yippee! So 3 divides 9 already perfectly. Try work on this one for a bit, see what you think. Besides that it's ugly.
I mean, 25 times 5 is not 75, it's 125.
Does 3 divide 15? One third. Would I expect you to know how to do 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 5 times without a calculator? Probably not. So this one you could leave like this and I would be perfectly happy. So how do you know when to stop or not? I will say simplify as much as possible, as reasonable or something when I get to a problem like this. Just like probably when I started here, can we actually get a perfect answer here? Like the answer's like 3? No. So starting about here, you could stop wherever it is reasonable to stop. That's reasonable. Here, 5 squared. 5 squared is pretty reasonable, so you can get 25 there. But by the time you get here, just leave it like that. I would never expect you to do 0.5 without a calculator to the 5th power. Square roots of a negative number. Looks like it's going to be imaginary, right? Why isn't it imaginary? Good. Rachel, what does that even power mean? What?
It means that the negative power is going to be positive.
Yes, it means that this negative, an even number of times, is going to be positive. So is this actually the square root of a positive number in the end?
Yes.
Yes. Do I have to figure out what that number is? No.
No.
Can I just realize that that's going to be a positive number and do the square root of the positive number? So that's the plan there. How will it look though? What would you write?
Minus 7 is no problem.
7 to the 5th.
What's wrong with that?
Well, it's not a minus.
That's the be careful part. This looks perfect, except what is a negative times a negative an odd number of times? Negative. Did we say we were going to get a negative answer out of this? No, because Rachel told us that a negative number to an even power is positive. So we can't get a negative answer. So what are you going to write instead of this?
7 to the 5th.
You are just going to write that. Is that legal?
Yes.
Only because you've thought through the problem and you realize that is a positive number, so you want a positive answer. So it's going to be 7 to the 5th power. It's not going to be negative 7 to the 5th power, because negative 7 to the 5th power would be a negative number. And the answer of this is not a negative number. Okay. So what would you write there?
5 to the power of 6.
Square root is half power. What's half of 12? 6. Okay? Fine?
Yep.
No?
No.
No. It has to be negative.
No, it's an even number.
Wait, but that's a even. So it would end up being positive.
Okay. In this case, you could get by with a negative, because is this an even number now? And an even number of negatives will be positive in the end?
That's right.
So you could write either of these answers will be the same. They will be okay. But just remember, if that's If you take half of it and it's an odd number of negatives would be negative, and that's a mistake. So, but if it's an even number here, you can get by with having negative 5 to the 6th power, because that will turn positive in the end anyway. Or you could have this answer as well, because it's the same. Lost phone? Do you understand that idea? No. How about this one? What's half of 7? Sorry, what's half of 14? 14. So half of 14 is 7.
No negative.
Is that okay?
No.
But that one was okay,
Yeah.
because that power is even. Okay, so what's happening? This is going to be a negative number to an even power. It's going to be positive. We want to keep it an even answer. Sorry, a positive answer. And what would 7 negative 3's make? A negative answer. So in this case, you can't have a negative there, because an even number of negatives is positive. The square root of a positive is positive, and it's going to look like that. So if the n power turns out to be odd, you can't have the negative, because an odd number of negatives would give you a negative answer. But if it's an even number of negatives, it will be positive still, so it will keep our positiveness.
Did you have to put the negative there? Could you just leave it without?
This one you can have either way. So phone, you can ask me, we can go over some more problems later. I mean, simplifying. Square root of 48. Is it nice? No. But from Algebra 2 trig, we saw we could take this 48 and find perfect squares in there. What little perfect squares are hiding inside 48? Okay, I heard a 4.
4 times
Because the square root of 4 is
2.
nice, it's a 2. Is there another perfect square hiding inside 12 still?
Yes.
What's hiding inside 12?
4.
4 and 3.
4 times 3? Okay. So what's the square root of 4?
2.
Square root of 4? Square root of 3? Can't do anything with that. Did anybody see a 16 hiding in there? No? There is a 16 hiding in there too. You could have gone 16 times 3. What's the square root of 16? 4. Square root of 3, not nice. 4.
Mr. Milk, can you simplify the root 6 and the root first, and then multiply?
Yeah.
Because when you simplify them, you multiply the factors that are on the outside, right?
Right. So, there are 2 other ways to do this same problem. One of them actually takes longer. Is there a perfect square inside this?
Yep.
What's the square root of 4? 2. What's the square root of these guys? Not nice. What's 2 times 6? 12. Is there another square hiding inside there? 4 times 3. What's the square root of 4? 2 times 2. 4 square root of 3. Do you like that better? Up to you. The 100% sure way is go to the square root of 48 and do the prime factorization of 48. What is the smallest prime number that can divide 48? Goes in. What divides 24?
8.
And what you get is the prime factorization of 48. It's 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. What's true about every pair of the same number is it will always make a perfect square. Isn't that 2 squared is 4? Is there another perfect pair there is 4? So what is the prime factorization going to give you? 4 times 4 times 3. Every little pair of the same number makes a perfect square, guaranteed. So what's the square root of 4? 2. What's the square root of 4? 2. 2 times 2 is 4 root 3. So what's 8 times 12?
70. Nope. 96.
Nice. Find the square root of 96. Try this way, just for the fun of it. Do the square root of 96, simplify it. It will look something like this guy does here.